Hello, UK MMA fans and worldwide MMA fans. I'm here with none other than Ben the Bane Davis, play-by-play commentator, fighter, grappler. I think one day we'll even say movie star. Fuck it.
Maybe.
So, how's it hanging, man? I can imagine, as always, you've been busy flying around, and like I say, I know recently it's been crazy. I've seen Newcastle, I've seen Thailand, obviously your stuff in America. So first of all, bro, what's happening with you, and what's on the horizon for Ben?
Yeah. First off, great to be here, man. Appreciate it, Phil.
No,
This is the day after the 24th birthday, so I'm a little bit hungover right now,
love it.
admittedly, but but you
Good
know
to
me,
see,
man.
man.
We go hard. We go hard. There's no
Oh,
brakes on the Bane train.
oh,
Um,
exactly.
Man, what's next? What's ahead? So I've got a show in Queens, New York on October 21st, and then thankfully I get like a week, 10-ish days off. My brother's wedding is down in North Carolina, so my parents were like, Ben, you have to clear your schedule. We can't we can't have you getting stuck in an airport or some delayed flights. Like you've got to just tell everybody that last week of October, Ben's done. And then picks right back up October 31st. I fly down to the Dominican Republic for Karate Combat. Karate Combat 42.
Oh, fantastic, man. Fantastic. Love Karate
Yeah.
Combat. I've actually, look out for it on Twitter. I've just written a little bit on Karate Combat for MMA UK. Again, love the show. Love everything about it, to be honest. Love the way it's set up. It's such a refreshing sort of different take than your normal UFC, MMA, and I really
Yeah.
like some of the things they're doing down there. And obviously, I know yourself. You obviously was involved, and I know a couple of other of the sort of how I call it MMA Twitter alumni legends, shall we say? Like
There's
Matt.
never a good term for it. I've like over the last couple of years, I think MMA Twitter personality, media personality, I think those are the best ones. But I mean, like, God, they're so dumb to say. I fucking
I
hate,
know, bro. This
I
is
hate
it.
yeah, like if you're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm actually a Twitter personality. Like that's fucking dumb as hell.
I know, man. It's like this is it. I completely understand. And the thing is, it's like I'm sure some people obviously would think, "Oh yeah, that'd be like really cool to say." But then probably when you're in the moment and someone
No,
says,
it's
"So,
so
so what do you
awkward.
do?" You're like, "Well, I am a MMA media
Yeah.
personality, really, I guess."
Thankfully,
But
thankfully with the commentating, I get to like people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a play-by-play commentator for combat sports." That sounds so much better, infinitely better.
yeah,
But
yeah,
then the
yeah.
problem is like when they ask for like deeper answers, I'm able to use, like, oh, Uriah Faber, like I'm his lead play-by-play. Anthony Pettis, I'm his lead play-by-play. And then after those two promotions, it just gets very deep in the weeds where people have no clue what I'm talking about. Like,
Yeah,
so it is kind of funny.
no, but you see, that's the thing that I love, and again, it's fucking awesome, man, about the Karate Combat event. And but I think that's the other thing. Obviously, in the something I'm very aware of in like the little small town that I live in, um, you know, everyone just thinks UFC. I mean, where I live,
Exactly.
people probably don't even know what PFL is or Bellator or even some of the European promotions like Cage Warriors and Octagon MMA. She's getting a little bit more coverage now, but I think for me that's sort of the whole idea of what I'd really like my sort of journalism and interviews to be about, trying to get a broader scope of the sort of MMA background. Again, we had a show here not too long ago by Anthony Pettis. Unfortunately, I couldn't go because I already had some plans. But again, I thought fucking outstanding,
Yeah,
great that
well,
a show like that
AP
is coming over to
APFC
Manchester.
Manchester, in 2 days, they're going to be in Manchester on October 20th. They've
Ah,
got
that's
another
right.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and unfortunately, I can't go because I'm actually taking my little boy to football, so
Oh,
um,
hell yeah.
I can't be there. But
I can't be there either, clearly.
no, no,
The
no.
budget. Oh, dude, I bugged him. I was like, yo, we've got it in the budget to bring the American broadcast team, right? And they're like, no, we don't.
Yeah, no,
And
absolutely not.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I mean, again, as good as APFC is, we're still a regional show, right? And the Fight Pass promotion, like the promotion aspect of it, and being on that platform has helped tremendously. But we're still a regional show, so we didn't have the budget, and I was almost like, because I almost went to the Prime card, and
Okay.
if I played a couple, I don't want to say cards correctly because I had existing commitments, which is why I couldn't go. Um, but I was like, if they bring me out for the prime card, I'll be in Manchester, so I can just stay an extra 6 days, and then you guys can let me call the APFC
Exactly,
event. And,
man.
oh, dude, yeah, I was trying to figure out how to get there because I was like, oh, I really wanted to call that show. But they've got Balian, who's a fantastic play-by-play, and it's in safe hands, this APFC event.
No, this is it, man. That's it. You know what? I've been that busy of late. I actually didn't realize we've not had a tennis event yet. So you'll have to forgive me for getting my days on that thing.
I wasn't gonna correct
Shit,
you. I
bro.
wasn't gonna correct you at all.
There'll be people out there sit there embarrassed going, fuck, I really screwed that up.
Yeah.
But me, no, not at all. It's just part of life. So, but yeah, it's just really great to be having an event like that over here in Manchester. Again, I'd have just suspected if anywhere was going to get it, it'd be London, and it'd be sometime near a UFC card. So, to
Yeah.
maximise things. But the fact that it's on just a Manchester in October, I'm gutted that I can't be there. But at the same time, as you know yourself, family comes first. So,
Absolutely.
so we're going to go.
I wish. I will say in the last couple of years, family, everything has come second.
I,
Sadly
I mean,
enough.
yeah, but I think that's really great that you can be honest enough to say that. I mean, I think something I did want to get into with you was, and a few times have been asked today, was obviously you were 24 yesterday.
Yeah,
Is it
just turned
20? Yeah. So obviously
fresh.
I've already wished you happy birthday, but happy
Thank you,
birthday
man.
again. And a lot of people said to me, basically, well, a number of things. One of the questions was why play by play, but then to me it
Mm.
went deeper than that. Then, I mean, can you tell us a little bit about day one for you and when you were like, right, this is what I want to do. This is the way I want to go with this.
There were a couple reasons. I think a lot of it's related back to the near decade of acting experience that I had doing musicals and plays. And when I was a drummer, I was just so creatively engineered that when I got to college and decided to study finance and became very involved in WP Carey, which is ASU's business school, in their clubs and organizations and the internships and all that, I sidelined everything that made me for years. And the third year that I had at university, it really hit me how upset and how I felt there was just something missing. And I couldn't, it's a hole. I'm like, I don't know how to fill this. I don't know what was there before because it's been 3 years since anything. And I was like, oh, it didn't, mean that much. But yeah, at that moment, I was like, I gotta get back to what I love and what I'm passionate about. And I did a little bit of sports broadcasting in high school, and so I figured, okay, maybe that can be the pathway. And I love combat sports. It's the only sport that I really give much of a fuck about. So I figured,
Yeah.
let's
Yeah.
just yeah, I was like, let me just start DMing athletes and interviewing guys. And, there's been so many weird intersections of like me putting stuff out there and someone seeing it and a lot of luck involved with it. But, that rolled into some media outlets, some on-site coverage. And,
Fantastic.
I started doing the esports as well just for fun almost. I was like, oh, I think it was like December of 2019 or something, where I was like with this esports organization called Aggro, which had like maybe 40-20 viewers or something a show, like
Okay.
nothing
Right.
fantastic. But I was like, it'll be fun. It's a good hobby. And I realized that the media shit isn't really what I enjoy doing. It's a weird world. I think people have a very negative view on mixed martial arts journalists or reporters or things like that.
Yep.
And I mean, listen, like a percentage of it is founded, it's not I would never say that it's a perfect community of people. There's plenty of assholes and snakes and just toxicity that I was like, I was like, I'm not making any money, and I'm dealing with this
Yeah,
gossip and bullshit, and
yeah, yeah.
I'm just lumped in a group of, oh, you're just a media member, you're just and I never call myself a journalist, but people would say, oh, you're just a journalist, and I was like, well, I know that I have a lot more value that I can add to this
Yeah,
scene, and there's a lot more I can do, and because of the media work, I mean, this is why it was really valuable, is just building a network, meeting a lot of
totally.
people, developing relationships, and my first in-person MMA show that I done, it actually the 1 year anniversary was a couple days ago. It was October 14th of last year. It was a local show called Rage in the Cage, and
Ah, yeah,
yeah, and they had just fired their commentating team for like, because those guys were like drinking on air and cussing, and they shit on the commission, and that's why they had to pull the plug. And it was weird. It
yeah.
was a good coincidence where they had just fired him like a week before, and then I'm calling the promoter Todd like, hey man, I'm a 22-year-old. I'm really interested in commentary. Here's my UFC 4 sizzle reel.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's
This
so
is it.
dumb.
Pull
It's
out
so
the sizzle
dumb.
reel.
Yeah, sending esports footage to convince people, but they let me do it, and it was super comical. We had weigh-ins at a pizza shop, which was great. I thought that was fantastic. Um,
Amazing,
yeah,
amazing.
dude, like just the
So
lowest
cool.
level. It's so funny. And then, the next day we're out in Mesa at this really, small event center in this commercial little mall basically, and it was just low level combat sports. That's the best way to describe it on every
Yeah,
facet, from the athletes. They were just starting training. Some of them didn't have any formal gyms. They were just in their backyards for a couple weeks, and of course they would get steamrolled, and I'd feel bad. It's a couple one-sided matchups, Todd.
yeah,
I don't know how
yeah.
much I love this. And the broadcast was the same way. It was just one camera, pretty shitty handheld microphones. You didn't have any earpieces or headsets, and so the ambient audio was ridiculous. And again, for me, I'm a big prep guy, and
Yeah.
with these athletes, there's quite literally fucking nothing on them. I mean, I don't even think we had a Tapology page.
No.
For yeah, so I'm like running around, and at weigh-ins, of course, just like interviewing, trying to get as much as I can. And I think that first show last year, I got like maybe 50% of the fighters. I got a little bit on each one of them, but
You see,
so it's
I can imagine it been like when I'm researching some predictions for a card,
yeah,
and you get someone like, some Dagestani fucking Sambo champ who's got, 0-2.
yeah,
But he's got the right haircut and he's got the right flag. So we'll stick him on a show. And everyone obviously see him at the bookies, and he might be like an overwhelming favourite. But the thing is, the moral of the story, obviously, is you try and find tape on even those guys, and it can be tricky.
yeah.
So
Good luck.
obviously, yeah. So obviously, for you doing, like you say, more your local shows and things at the start, I can only imagine, dog. Jesus.
It was great. I mean, it was such a fantastic learning experience. I mean, because I compare that to like the UFC Fight Pass shows that I do, and the level of production investment from everybody on the team, and just how quality it is. It's great, man. I mean, it really is. Over the last couple days, especially with that 1 year anniversary, and then my birthday yesterday, just this week, really trying to reflect on the last 12 months, and kind of how wild it's been. It's been a fucking crazy year. Not gonna lie.
I, no, man. I mean, obviously, I can only imagine. Obviously, I followed your story sort of online, and obviously,
Yeah.
we've talked briefly before, but as I'm sure you'll vouch for, this is the first time we've actually spoke on video and on film. We just happened to have exchanged DMs over the years and comments on social media, and I've sort of sat there and just been. I'll be honest, mate. I don't mind saying, bit of a wow factor, because obviously, there's always highs and lows with everything when you're in the public eye, even to a social media degree. And I've just sort of watched you just really roll with absolutely everything. Anything that's been positive, you've just sort of welcomed. And something I always think about when people are a little bit in the public eye, is any criticism that comes your way, even if it's just like, oh, your meme was shit or something like that, or I didn't like your play-by-play at such and such. And you've just sort of rolled with it and just almost,
I don't know if I would say roll with it. Sometimes I've got thin skin, Phil. It is hard to irritate me, but some days I just get into arguments with people for no reason. I just go back and forth, and I'm like, God, this fucking idiot, But for the most part, yeah. I mean, you just take it as it comes.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's the thing, because again, a lot of the people on social media, which you'll only be too well versed in, they're sat behind the keyboard and they think they can say whatever they like to absolutely anybody without, and whoever feelings are hurt in the process, they don't really care. And I just think the best way to sort of fire back at that in any way, shape, or form, other than, and we all have those moments where like, what? This guy's got like 25 followers. What the fuck does he know? But it's like you've always had. Everyone does that, but you've always had that sort of, I'm going to continue to work hard. I'm going to continue to put myself out there, put my name out there. And even in the last year, that I can personally vouch for, and I don't stalk your Twitter and sit on it all day, but already I can see, the Misfits card, your play-by-play, the trip out to Fight Circus, and what have you in Thailand, and they're just a handful of things. Now, if someone's sat there saying yada yada yada, for me, I just be like, okay, do you want to just have a look what he's doing, and you're posting.
Well, that's what's so funny, I think, about people that are trolls and toxic online is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how successful you are. They're still going to take shots, and the problem is when I try and throw that back in people's faces, they're like, oh, you're just a fucking random Twitter noob, and I'm like, I'm not. Here's what I'm doing, and then I get made fun of for providing what I'm doing. So it's just like a lose-lose, which is, I think that is the frustrating element of the platform and like combat sports in general. I think that there's a lot of issues with the fan base, from a myriad of perspectives and angles. Like you look at how not progressive combat sports is, despite the greatest female fighter of all time being a lesbian, yet a lot of the high percentage of the fan base is like very homophobic. It's weird, man. It really is. It's a frustrating dilemma, and someone in my position who's like in that community, and trying to work in the industry, I'm like, I look at what Anderson Cooper did, which was crazy. How Anderson Cooper for years, he didn't know his sexuality, and then I think like a decade after, he was just like, oh yeah, I'm gay, but you had no idea. I think there's two folds of that. One, of course, because I'm the same way. I never talk about much of my personal life online, or like what I'm up to, because I'm like, it's not relevant. It's not relevant to what I'm doing. It's not important, and I don't want to be divisive. Yeah,
and I think as well, you do need to have some privacy, and you do have to have a private life.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I totally agree. But I think that is the thing I'm hitting on the head. Obviously, MMA fans as a whole are completely
not great.
fucking wired the wrong way in a lot of ways. I'm just glad. Obviously, we've got some junkies and addicts holding the fort down, like Jared, Court McGee, Gregor Gillespie, and whoever else. Rock on, boys. But I just applaud the way you go about your business, mate. Like I say, I think the proof's in the pudding. Is something we say over here all the time, and you wouldn't be doing things like the Misfits show. Obviously, your play-by-play goes without saying that was started long before that, but just the recent events, which actually leads me quite nicely onto a question that I got asked today on
Beautiful.
In the old DMs on Twitter. I'm not going to fire all these at you. They're all cool, man. But
I mean, hey, we've got a lot of time, so we can work through them. I don't mind.
We can work. So, for instance, quite a number of questions were all around sort of the same topic. Obviously, you've done the boxing, you've done grappling. So people kind of were asking, is there any sort of, and obviously you don't have to reveal anything as such, but is there any plans to either box again? Or I know you are signed, is it with Happy Puncher?
Yeah.
So is there any more going into getting back in the ring there? Or obviously maybe don't go back into grappling, going straight in with a black belt at BJJ. That would probably end similar for us all. But a lot of people were asking about your martial arts experience, your boxing experience. I know you've been, you've trained with Billy Q, for instance. Love Billy, by the way. So, a number of the questions were along that line. We're sort of saying, is there any sort of future plans, or is it now going to be more stick to the play-by-play, or are you going to?
Yeah, I'll keep. I mean, I'm not really a one and done kind of guy when it comes to it. Me and CFFC have some plans for their December 30th Fury Pro Grappling show. So hopefully get back on the mats to close out the year, and then we'll get back in Misfits. I think maybe March or April. It would be weird for Happy Punch to sign someone that's only going to fight once.
Completely.
It doesn't make sense. So hopefully that would have told everybody, where my perspective was. But, I think it's, a time now where I do got to start getting my hand raised. I think that the grappling is less of a concern. I don't really give a fuck if I lose in grappling or, Indian leg wrestling. Like, that doesn't matter. But the next Misfits fight.
That was brilliant.
That was, I gotta win the next boxing match. But I don't know, for me, the concern is like, okay, going out and doing these things once, there's a lot of novelty and fun associated with trying once. Doing it again and trying to generate the same interest or reception from people. How do I up the ante? I think that's the question that I'm grappling with right now. For lack of a better word, right? So we'll see. I definitely want to continue competing because, like, I'm 24. I'm young. I can do it. I can go get knocked out. I can lose a limb or something, like I did for a couple of weeks, and I'll have an MMA debut. I will get in the cage at some point in time. Yeah, because I feel like that's the common sense. Like, that's what it's all leading to. Is I'm like. It's like Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. I'm mastering all of these well, maybe not mastering, but I'm dabbling in all these different combat sports to assemble a full mixed martial arts package. And hopefully that'll be like a CFFC co-main event. I think that would be a lot of fun, maybe in 2 years or something. But yeah, I just think it's important for me to really put shit on the line. Walk it as much as I talk it. And again, I talk a lot, so I've got to walk a lot, and I'm fine doing that. And I think, like, for my branding, it's such a win-win scenario, and low risk, like, especially within influencer boxing. Gabe, kind of a lesser example of this because he is a pretty damn good fighter. But a lot of these guys just picked up gloves recently, and it's not like they're gonna kill me or like, even if I take a couple licks, like, I'll be completely fine. Like, that's this one, for example. My parents were super against me taking the Misfits fight. They were not happy. Didn't ask for their permission. Again, I'm an adult. I was like, I'm going to inform them afterwards of my decision. And they were really concerned. A lot of my close friends and my family were like, oh, are you going to get hospitalized? Like, we really don't think this is a good idea. They couldn't understand why I was doing it. And, what happened? I got knocked down and then I got, TKO'd, and I'm fine. Like,
exactly, man.
Yeah,
exactly. But what, again, I don't mind even saying. I remember when I first saw the release that you were fighting basically Anderson Silva's son.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at it and going, "Is this a fucking wind up?" And initially, because right on the split second, I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, not because it was yourself. It was just I didn't really expect to see Anderson Silva's Gabe as such to be attached.
Yeah.
And then obviously I looked to the right of the picture and it's yourself, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, amazing, absolutely amazing. But at the same time, I was like, Jesus, Ben's got some balls on him. Fuck me.
Ah,
And
I
I was just like, but I'm looking at it from the, for I suppose not obviously a casual fan, but obviously I'm a
mm,
hardcore MMA fan. But to see something like that to someone, for you to be almost giving the, and the fact that I think as well that it was in Newcastle, which isn't, it's not relatively too far from me. I was just almost like, oh my god, this is going to be brilliant. But the great thing for Misfits Boxing, and if Misfits Boxing watch this, I tuned in to see it.
yeah,
Um, Obviously because I'd had some rapport with you online, but I saw the press conferences,
yeah.
and I was just like, go on, son. I was like, this is fantastic. But you know, but the thing is, until actually being able to speak to you a little bit about your own background in training, and I didn't know. Obviously, you'll have had an idea of what you were walking into and what you could, how well you felt you could cope in that,
Mhm.
in the ring with Gabe. But to me, I was like, wow. I was like, I know, Ben does do a little bit of jujitsu, I think, and does some
Nope.
boxing, some sparring. I wasn't sure. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it was just one of those moments, and the fact that it was happening in the UK as well, part of me was like, I can't wait till Ben gets over here and see what happens. And then you started
Yeah.
posting the stuff about your outfit because your luggage got lost and the Tesco whole thing. But that's just obviously a snapshot of um of what's been going on.
Yeah.
But I've obviously a question again that did come up with the Gabe fight. How hard does he hit?
Oh, yeah, it's hard. He does hit hard. I
Yeah,
will say this. I think what makes Gabe different is just the speed, shot selection, and the timing.
yeah,
He is such a precise striker. Because, like, there were a couple shots that he caught me with that I was like, okay, not bad. I've been hit harder in camp by some of
yeah.
Billy Q's guys. So I was like, okay, the power. Like I remember there was this one jab that I tossed out, and he just came right over the top with the right hand, clipped me, and I was like, okay, ate it, no biggie,
Yeah.
not rocked, not anything like that. But that first knockdown, we split crosses, and then he just came with that left. Didn't see it coming. 1 second I'm standing, the next second I'm on the ground, and I was like, all right, let's get back up. And then kind of the same thing with that finishing sequence. We clinched about 12 seconds left in the round. I will say this, I was feeling a little tired. I remember I
Oh,
took
don't
a
blame you.
deep breath in that
Yeah.
clinch. I was like, fuck, it's we've been going hard. And granted, like I got way too reckless. Like our game plan was take the first round essentially off, just jab, feint,
Yeah.
make our reads, and you can see that I did not do that at all. I was really going for it. I was
I was
winging
like,
hammers.
yeah, forget the game
um
plan. I'm going in.
Gone. Yeah, gone. The game plan evaporated instantly. So next time, got to stick close to that. But yeah, we separated and had the Philly shell, which is the biggest criticism that people have had against me is my use of the Philly shell. And he feints like he's going low, so I bring the elbow down to block my liver, and then he just brings it up top, and that was that. I know a lot of people were talking about the stoppage, and it was an early stoppage, and I'm fine with it. I mean, I don't mind. I'd been knocked down a minute prior, and it was a good shot. I mean, you listen to it; it's a fucking baseball
Yeah.
bat.
Oh,
Um,
bro. I think again, the only people who can judge anything, like you say, is the man himself who took the shot. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
I'm like, it was a fine stoppage. Because like the thing is, could I have, if I was given a 10 count, could I have made it? Maybe, probably, But
yeah,
then I go to the corner, and then I come out for round two and just get the shit beaten out of me. So he gets, everybody wins. We get a cool walk off knockout. I don't take unnecessary damage in round two.
oh,
um,
yeah. Again, and it's like, I wouldn't have even been in there. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I'd have been like walking in, and you've seen that video of the guy who walks in the ring and then just starts
And
walking
just
out, and the
gets
whole
out.
crowd are
Yeah.
looking at him. That'd have been me. Um,
Dude. Yeah.
but
I don't know. Like
yeah,
I didn't have any nerves. I had no stress. Like I think that was the beauty of the opponent. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's Anderson Silva's son," and it's I mean, it's pretty liberating when you kind of know what's going to happen in the fight. And
yeah,
granted, like I took it unbelievably seriously. I organized. I was on the road when I accepted the fight, so a week and a half. I was on the road for the first week and a half, and then I had about 3 weeks to really train with my coach. And we every day. I mean, I was doing cardio. We'd have a pad session, eat healthy, wasn't drinking. I dropped 15 pounds. Like I took it very seriously. Went and trained with
yeah,
Billy. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's Anderson's kid, right?
yeah,
So I don't know. I think like, uh, yeah, I didn't. It was a cool position because like I had nothing to lose. Whereas
yeah.
if I fight an influencer, I do have something to lose. I have to beat an influencer. If I lose to an influencer, Phil might be game over.
Mate,
If I, yeah,
I've seen the sparring tapes with Billy, man. I think you
I
got some
think I could
skills
beat
there,
some of
bro.
these motherfuckers.
I think you could as well.
But yeah, I don't know, cause like it was just it was a cool position to be in. Obviously, a fun week. I felt outside of the knockout, everything was perfect. Like you said, the press conference, I thought the presser was great. The clips, um, were I think they tracked really well.
Yeah.
And I think future's bright with Misfits in a lot of regards, whether it be in the ring or in that broadcast booth right next to it. So we'll see.
Yeah, completely. I think that was again what I thought was really nice because obviously after I'd watched your fight and then to see you appear,
And then
in the
they let me
commentary booth,
commentate. Yeah.
yeah, I thought that was brilliant. Yeah,
They were very hesitant a little bit. They were like, "Are you sure you're good? Are you good?" And I was like,
if we check this guy for a concussion, is he all right?
I know, literally, bro, literally. But yeah, that I got to commentate the co-main with Todd Grisham and Roundhouse Radio, and it was cool. Yeah, I was like, that's that's partially why I'm here is to
Yeah.
get this interview almost on the desk. So
Oh no, completely, man. Let's obviously that was covering that again when this goes out. A lot of people are going to be interested in hearing about that because, like I say,
yeah,
a lot, especially about future plans as well. Obviously, the fight with Gabe, people will naturally be interested in because it's a bigger platform. But so many people today reached out to me to say various questions. Like I say, does Ben have? Can you ask Ben? Does he have martial arts background? Does But a lot of it was always, is he going to get back in the ring? So
yeah.
all that we've covered there, mate, that is absolutely fantastic. But I am going to lead us off on a slightly different.
Let's pivot. Let's change gears, baby.
Let's pivot, baby. So again, it's. I'm going to look at this. I've got a few notes, obviously. So I'm going to pivot and I'm going to bring up something that your good friend Mac Malley and Superfan told me to ask you.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So a bit of fun after just to wind down from the serious business of the fighting. To be honest, it isn't going to embarrass you in any way, but Mac said there was a canoeing trip where you ended up in Waffle House and forgot your wallet.
So Mac obviously put a little creative spin on that. I did have my wallet. I just wanted to cook. I asked them and they were like, "Yeah, sure, I guess." It's 3 a.m. There's no one else here, so I got behind the grill. I got behind the grill for a little bit. I remember they kicked me out after a few minutes because other people were coming in and they were like, "We legally cannot have you back here," and I was like, "Fair enough." But no, that was Mac. Mac is one of my closest friends, and for the last several years, the person that he is just one of the most kind, funny, hard workers that I've ever met. And that night was fucking hilarious. I mean, I'm not gonna shit on Superfan, but I'm gonna talk about because the canoeing trip was late. That was like 1 a.m. is when we started canoeing.
I've seen the video and it's dark.
Yeah, and he fell in. Mac lost his Samsung phone because like we get off the dock and he immediately tips his canoe over, and thankfully gets back in, but he's soaking wet. And I really didn't, that's a night where both him and I just turned our brains off because again, we're in Fort Myers, Florida, canoeing at 3 a.m. Brilliant. There could very realistically be crocodiles in this water. It's not smart what we were doing. We were, not hammered, but we'd been drinking and it was just not a good idea. But so he capsizes immediately. We're canoeing around for like a good hour, you know what I mean? And I remember we get to this one part because it was like this neighborhood and it was all like connected with the waterways, and we start heading like into the main channel. Like him and I, if we really wanted to, we could have just like continued into the ocean on our fucking canoes, but it gets like really the weeds and like the overgrowth was getting tough to paddle through, and it's 2 a.m. at this point. Listen, Phil, I'm not a scaredy cat, but I'm getting spooked. And Mac was like, let's keep going. And I was like, no, I think I'm going to turn around, dude. Like, I don't think this is a good idea. So if I can, turn around. And I remember because I was very scared in that moment that I paddled back so quick, dude. I was like, I was breaking Olympic records with how quick I was paddling back to the house. But earlier in the night, Superfan, what happened was
Mac's question was basically ask Ben how drunk Superfan was.
Dude, he was so fucked up. We had like a 45-minute discussion with him because he's a guy who values like the anonymity. It's not like he posts his face or anything like that too often, right? On social media, and he's done it a couple times, right? Especially at the KC events. But I remember we're sitting there, and this was again like this is late in the day. We'd been partying a lot, and he's fucking hammered, and he's like, because people have seen my face, are they gonna attack me now? He's like, I've talked shit to so many fighters, they said that they're gonna attack me, do you think they're going to? And I was like, no, I don't think that they're gonna attack. He was talking about who's that really short middleweight, Devin, oh gosh, I can't remember his name. He's built like a fridge. Seems like a nice guy. But yeah, he was like, Devin's gonna he said he was gonna beat the fuck out of me. And we're just sitting there like, that's not gonna happen. You're fine. Like, if you don't want to post your face anymore, don't. And he's like, it's already out there. It was a tough combo. I mean, he was really going through it. And Mac and I, and we had a couple other people there. All of us were just like sitting around him like, dude, you're good. And then we went canoeing, which is the natural, that's the natural, like post he passes out. And then we're like, let's go capsize a canoe.
Yeah.
But then capsize a canoe. I don't know how we got to Waffle House. I don't think we walked. I think we Ubered, and initially we went to a gas station and he got like a 12-pack of here's the other part of the story. Because we didn't have enough beer, right? We get to this gas station at 2 a.m. We get some Modelo's, and we're just drinking him in the parking lot. He's eating a ham sandwich that he got from the gas station. I was like, Mac, that's the grossest fucking thing of all time. Like, let's go get some actual food. And the only thing that was open was the Waffle House. So we end up at the Waffle House. We bring in a 12-pack of Modelo's, and then
stick them on the table.
Just stick them on. We're just drinking them on the table. And then they let me cook, and it was good. Waffle House food is pretty fucking good. I'm not gonna lie, especially at 2 a.m.
I was about to say 2, 3 a.m. in the morning, whatever. It's great, but this is it, man. Again, Superfan. I've always found his post funny, even before I ever spoke to the guy.
He's a funny dude, yeah.
He is. And what I will say as well, as soon as we've obviously just ridiculed him for a little bit there, when I did some fundraising last year for cancer research, he actually had a bit of fun with me online. We just did like some picks for an MMA card, and whoever won, the loser had to donate some money to the person's chosen charity. He did lose. What can I say? But he followed through, and he was very kind of him to donate to the charity that I chose. So top man, a lot of respect for him, and do love his work as well.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Mac's the same. I was talking briefly to Mac last night, just on DMs and what have you. And I know you guys, you're busy and you're flying around with various commitments as well. And I actually woke up this morning with the time difference, and I actually had a voice message off Mac. And I told him that I was sort of interested in writing a little bit about karate combat and sort of spreading a little bit of news about that over here. And sort of said, it'd be cool as well sometime to get him, yourself, and Superfan on to do like some form of like little bit of a show, maybe a prediction, a pay-per-view event. I don't know. We were just briefly sort of talking, and I'd sort of said, if there's any sort of help you can give me and point me in the right direction. And he just sent me a lovely voice message this morning. To summarize, it was just like, no problem at all, man. You've come to the right place. I got you. We can do something, and I'm sure Ben will be, involved. I'm fine, and I'm sure I can get Superfan to do it. So he was cool, man, and he's messaged me a few times, even back in the dark days, to be honest. And he's always been a very cool guy. So
they just don't make him like Mac, man. They don't make him like Mac at all. I love that dude. I don't know what my life would look like without him. The amount of phone calls that both him and I have had where, one of us is going through something, and it's just nice to have that person there to listen and chat with. Yeah. It's it means a lot. Yeah. And like I'll give another funny story. You want to hear about how we snuck into so this is how Mac and I first met. This is the genesis of our friendship. We had been going back and forth on Twitter. We did a stream. We were playing Call of Duty Warzone, and this was June 2020. I want to say maybe May of 2020. So we're playing Call of Duty, and I was really pumped to meet him and do a stream with him and play games with him, because I was like, oh, this guy's huge on Twitter. He's fucking hilarious. And I think was my junior year at ASU, so I'm hammered for the stream because I was like, I got a drink, and I forgot to turn my stream off. So we stopped playing. I go lay down face first on my bed, pass out, and my stream is still going. So for hours, my buddies are like, they're like in the chat, they're like, how do we turn off the stream? How do we turn it off? And it was fucking hilarious. I woke up the next day and walked over to my computer, and I was like, why does it say uptime 18 hours? What the fuck? But that was the first stream. And then we met in person at, I can't remember what numbered UFC event it was. I think 263, where Adesanya and Vettori were rematching in Arizona. And so him and Booger Beard are out because this was when Adesanya brought Booger Beard out and put the belt on him that same night. So we all linked up maybe midway through the card and snapped a photo and just chatted, and we were like, okay, let's all hang out afterwards. After the card, I go to this Dean Thomas meet and greet. He was doing like a little session, and hung out with him. Didn't hear anything from Mac. I just kind of assumed, they're gone. I'm walking in my car, and fucking, who do you know? Mac pulls up in the parking lot. I was like, what's up, fucker? Where are you going? And I was like, oh, well, I was thinking of Adesanya has an after party. I bought a ticket a couple of days ago. And he was like, no way, that's where we're going. So we meet up at this after party, and the line, if you don't know, Mill Avenue in Tempe, Varsity is the biggest bar. It's the only, like, it's not a nightclub, but it's the best place to go, right? And so they're holding it at Varsity. The line out the door was fucking bananas. I'd never seen it that long. And we're at the back of it, and we were kind of kicking stones around going, well, how do we get in? Are we going to wait this entire time? Like, that doesn't seem smart. And I was, dressed up in the turtleneck, and at that time I was wearing a blue blazer. And I was like, well, what if I pretend to be your guys' security, and I just take you to the front, and I'm like, yo, these guys are with Adesanya, let's get him in. And they're like, well, why not? So we go up, and it fucking works. And the guys, thankfully they were on the list, because my thinking was, if Adesanya is bringing Booger Beard and Mac out to this, he's probably got him on a list, or someone put him on a list. Yeah. My intuition was correct. We go in, and I take him up to the top, and can't find it. We get separated a little bit. I'm hanging out with, I saw Jamal Hill there, said hey to him. Matt Favola, I think, was there, said hey to him. And then reunited with them, and they're standing once again on like the opposite side, and you've got Adesanya in his VIP section, and they're standing off to the side. And I was like, why are you guys over here? And they're like, well, we don't know. They're like, well, we don't know. And I was like, okay, let's play that same, let's take that same play and do it again. So I'm leading them through this crowd. Yeah, I was like, why not? It ain't broke, don't fix it. So I'm leading them through this crowd again, pretending to be this security guy. And I get to the VIP section and I tell Adesanya's security, I was like, hey, these guys are, with Izzy. And Izzy walks over, sees Booger Beard, and was like, oh my God, it's Booger Beard. So he goes under the ropes, and then I start to go under the ropes, and the security guard puts his arm on me and is like,
Where do you think you're going?
Literally, yeah. He's like, I don't think so, bud. And Booger Beard, turns to Izzy and is like, nah, he's with us. We're cool. So we go in, and it's just, dude, it's fucking hilarious. It's Booger Beard, Mac, Izzy, and then one of Izzy's buddies. And I'm standing behind them, still pretending to be security. I was like, this is the role that I've chosen the entire night. And there's a funny video that Mac has of him, like, he's like panning around with his camera, and you can just see me like just posting up, scanning,
yeah,
making sure.
At this point, you've really taken like the whole method acting to a new level. You're sort of like Heath Ledger as the Joker, but as the security.
But yeah, Ben Davis as this hammered security guard in Tempe. That was, and we had a great night. We had so much fun. And I'm not sure when they left, but yeah, we closed it out. I think it was like 2 a.m. They kicked everyone out, and that's when I went home. But that was the first night that I met Mac, so it was a pretty good first time to meet someone in person.
Oh, totally, mate. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Stories like that are just things you can't buy, really. That sort of thing. It's almost like just meant to be, I think. But yeah, Mac. Like I say, very similar to you. I remember being, back in the dark days, and I think I was holed up in some hotel somewhere, and I was watching the Dillashaw Garbrandt 1 fight, I think it was, and that was my first interaction with Mac. I think he posted one of his many hilarious tweets on me, and yeah, I just got sort of chatting to him a little bit online, and I've sort of followed him ever since, as he's a bit like yourself, as things have just grown, really. And what have you. And his sandwiches look so good as well.
Oh, dude, the sandwiches, he always talks about the days when he was selling beef jerky. And I keep asking him, I keep asking him to get back into it because I need to taste this jerky. I need some of this beef jerky, man.
Well, I remember seeing the one picture of it, I remember, and looking at it, and I was like, I love beef jerky. That'd be awesome. But it was like this green chili fire beef jerky, and I was like, this would literally rip my head off. I'd feel like needing I need to get my I need to get my own supply of milk sort of lorried in for a couple of days afterwards. But yeah, no, great dude, and like I say, hopefully in the future, I'll get a chance to talk to Mac a little bit more as well. You did say something actually in there that has jogged my mind as well, because question that did come in today. The turtleneck. Well, twofold.
Sure.
Where did it come from? And someone asked, how many do you own?
The number was at one point in time 7. That was when I had my most turtlenecks, one for each day of the week. But I think I'm down to like 4. I've lost a couple of them, shockingly. But yeah, where did the turtlenecks come from? Why did I start wearing turtlenecks? It actually traces all the way back to the esports days. So before I was doing any MMA media or like on-site coverage or shit like that, I just thought when I did the esports shows, it'd be nice to have a little bit of a brand. So initially I was wearing the turtlenecks and then my glasses. And I just enjoyed that look, stuck with it. I mean, I wish there was more of some great story. But yeah, the turtleneck, I was just like, oh, I've got this. I like it. Looks good. We rock and roll with it.
But I think that's actually quite nice. Like you say, it would be good to have this like insanely great story about it. But I think the fact that it's almost, as people have asked me about it, it's almost become part of your makeup, your persona to wear it. And I personally, I love it. I think it's great. And I don't know. Like I say, there was at least 5 or 6 people asked me that question today. So I think there might be a bit of an uproar online, mate, if you were to ditch it. But
I think, well, because it's the brand. Yeah, it's the look. I mean, it's a very intentional look, and I wear it consistently for that reason. It's you get a glimpse of a guy in a black blazer, black jeans, and a black turtleneck. That's Bane in the background. I know him. I saw him in this because he's wearing the same exact fucking outfit. Like, it's not rocket science why I keep the look super consistent. And why I hope that I never have to ditch it. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, like, I don't have to worry about what to wear to these things, which is that's very nice.
I couldn't agree more, actually. I can only imagine that. Yeah, I'd be a fucking mess.
I will say, I've added a couple things. I've got the belt buckle, which I like, with the B on it. I think that looks good. My shoes, I think the shoes are the only thing that I'm willing to, like, really customize and mess around with. Like, for a while, I'll pull them up right now.
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
So hopefully you can hear me. I had these ones for a while, and we're upgrading to these ones. Which are
I love it, mate. Dangerous, fantastic.
Oh yeah, we're going gold, baby. We're going gold.
I know. I know.
But that's the only level, because, like, I know when I first started doing shit, I got a lot of comparisons to the schmo, and people would call me, like, a discount schmo and whatnot, because he wears a turtleneck and a blazer and whatnot. But his are always, like, much more creative and colorful. And I just didn't like the comparisons. I was like, nothing against. I like Dave and his wife Helen a ton, actually. But I was like, we're not the same. We do different things. He is media interviewer. I'm trying to focus on the broadcasting and the play-by-play. And again, I'm like, if the only similarity is we wear a turtleneck, then I don't know. The comparisons irritate the fuck out of me. But yeah, the shoes are the only thing that I'm willing to customize and mix up.
Yeah, I think that's great though, because I think. Those shoes are killer, by the way. They are super.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, no, totally, man. You never know though. If Bruce Buffer ever decides to retire and he wants to pass the jackets to you, who knows? We
can't say no. Can't say no if Double B wants it.
No, without a doubt. No, completely. But yeah, pardon me. So again, sort of keeping with the theme of the questions on Twitter, there is a couple of things I was going to ask you as well, but we'll come to that later. Someone asked me today, so it's a good one for you, I think. If you could piece together, like, we've all got a favourite commentary team for, say, the UFC events, a mix of who's there. So you're on the commentary team, and you can pick 2 people to join you. No rules. You can have whoever you want. Who are you picking?
Ooh, who do I select as my color commentators? That's an excellent question. I adore Paul Felder. I think he is the perfect color commentator. The way that he breaks things down, how he is able to articulate complex to layman's terms and simplify, and his energy. I think he brings some great energy and reactions inside the booth, and is a more underrated color commentator because he's more of a I don't want to say like reserved or softer spoken guy, but he's so Paul Felder first. And then I gotta go with Joe Rogan. I think Rogan is his best days as a color commentator, maybe in the I don't want to say in the past, but he's so focused on other things that, you can tell when he's in the booth and maybe he'll say something wrong, or maybe he doesn't seem as educated on a person. Like, the roster's changed a lot in the last couple of years, and that's not a diss on Joe, but the energy and the reactions that Joe Rogan has, you can't replicate it. You can't find anyone else that can do it. So I think, a dream of mine would probably be calling fights alongside Felder and Rogan.
Fantastic. I think the 2 names you picked out, to be fair, I can't argue. I mean, there's a number of people I like. But like you say with Felder, he's a little bit more reserved, a little bit, like you say, I wouldn't say quiet, but he's just a little bit more. I think he would complement you and Joe actually really well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he blends. There's, I think everyone at the UFC level that's color commentating and obviously play by play included in this is there for a reason. They are the elite. They are the best in the business. But there's a couple booths where it just doesn't blend as good as others. As much as I love Bisping and Dominic Cruz, when they are on the call together, there is a little bit of just a back and forth and taking jabs at one another. And, as much as I love DC, there was a couple weeks ago, he spent 2.5 minutes talking about Power Slap when Deanna Belbita and Karolina Kowalkiewicz were fighting. And I was like, why are we spending half of the fucking round talking about Power Slap? We should be working towards the athletes. And it's not a knock on him. I hope it doesn't get confused that way by people. But
no, I don't think it will.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think like Felder blends perfectly with everybody anywhere. And Rogan he's irreplaceable. But that's my perspective on it.
No, I think like you said, I can't disagree really. I mean, I've nothing against DC at all, but I noticed that in that particular fight. Anna Daniel's your girl as well.
Yeah, I know. That's my girl. I'm like, you gotta give Belbita her time of day.
But I mean, that was particularly noticeable. But I've seen similar things happen before. I'm not naming names with some of the other guys, and it must be hard. I'm not criticizing, Jesus, to be doing a show on that level. So
it's incredibly difficult.
Sometimes, just your mind will wander, and then all of a sudden you probably check back into reality and say, "Oh shit, I'm commentating on a UFC card." It must be difficult. So that's fair enough. But another one. This one's from me because I'm a big Batman fan.
Let's go.
The Bane, was it just literally why the Bane, bro? Why the Bane?
Why the Bane? Another great question. And similarly to the turtleneck, I wish there was a deeper story, but same. I love Batman growing up. I thought Tom Hardy's portrayal of Bane was really cool, and I enjoyed it. And I was doing Twitch streaming for a year in college. This was when I was trying to, get the gears of me being creative back in working condition. So I did a year of Twitch streaming, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be Ben Davis. I can't just do me. I have to be something else. I have to be something a little bit more, just to, in the pure essence of like a branding and something that's catchy and engaging a little bit. So that's how the Bane was created. And originally, there wasn't any Ben Davis in it. It wasn't Ben the Bane Davis. It was just the Bane. And that's how the Twitter started as well. I think because this is my third Twitter account that I'm on right now, and fucking knock on wood, I don't have to start a fourth ever. But like the first two accounts, they were just the Bane. Like it wasn't. This is the only one because I'd converted my personal account into like the MMA one, and was like, yeah, we'll try Ben the Bane Davis and see how that works out. And thankfully, it's got a good flow. But just a big Batman guy.
Nah, cool, man. That's it. That's absolutely fine. Not many people ask me why I call myself the Goose, but again, it literally there's no really big story to it. Comes from growing up Top Gun fan, and one of the guys just said to me one day when I had aviators, and he said, you look a bit like the guy off Top Gun, Goose. And it just stuck. It was,
and you were like, hell yeah.
and again, a bit like what you said. I think when you're online in particular, I'm not too bothered about my anonymity as such, but if I just went and just simply call myself Phil Dean, it's not particularly good, catchy or anything like that, and I don't know. It literally just was like,
it makes so much easier. Like for an example, when I was in Thailand for Fight Circus, everybody that I met was great, but because I met so many fucking people in such a short amount of time, I didn't really remember anyone's names, which I felt bad about. But like I can't, in one ear at the other when I'm meeting 12 people at once. But the one guy's name who stuck with me the entire time was a guy who called himself Wombat Jones, and he's an Australian guy. Yeah. Oh man, because again, I'm like, the name, it just sticks, Wombat Jones, and then he's got the accent, and I was like, I can't forget that, right? So I think
totally. As soon as you said it, I was like, yeah, Wombat Jones, yeah. It's like you say, you do need to have something if you do want to get out there a little bit in regards to not even if you just
if you're creating content, have another layer. Have another layer. It's
Yeah, I think that's it as well. I mean, I was reading a little bit about Nina today, who's obviously doing amazing stuff with the UFC and a lot of stuff with Sean Strickland and what have you. And I was really shocked when she put she's actually a real introvert as a person. She gets incredibly shy, and I was actually sat there just thinking, because to be honest, I'm not particularly the most outgoing person. To my friends and family, I probably am, but I'm not particularly most outgoing person. So I think, like what you sort of said as well, if you can have almost like, I suppose, a little bit of an alter ego, where you have to create a little bit of something to give you an avenue into being able to connect with people on a different level, especially when you're potentially, you've got media personalities and professional athletes who you're talking to. I was, when I read that about Nina, I was just like, wow, I was like blown away. You would never guess that in a million years. But the girl's done good. I'm a huge fan and what have you. So yeah, it was just nice to read. You know what I mean? Just that honesty. It was good.
Yeah.
Well, what have we got left? Right, I'm gonna quick fire some at you. So,
I love it. Rapid fire. Let's go.
We're gonna do rapid fire, and you've got literally first name that comes into your head. So this is gonna get interesting.
Okay.
All right. We'll only do. Let me think. Can I? Because I've actually got 3 questions written down, but can I think of an extra 2? Okay.
I'm curious,
we'll just go.
What negative questions did you get? I want to know if anyone talked some shit, because I'd love to respond to that as well. If anyone gave you some some wild things.
I've got to admit, there wasn't anything particularly negative. No. And to be fair, people who maybe follow me, I mean, I don't know how many. I don't really look at how many views my tweet got that I was speaking to you. But the only thing that did come up, and I'll be honest, it's not something I've followed hugely, because it just wasn't. I've seen a few little tweets about it, but a couple of people, which you might be able to just embellish on a little bit, is it Derek from? Is it
Derek from Better Media?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Not negatively towards you. A few people really were sort of just asking, is there any more sort of word on that? And, are you going to get to maybe accidentally punch this guy in the face one night?
There's no update, unfortunately, officially, but that's the fight that I want. That's the next fight that makes a lot of sense. I genuinely fucking hate that guy, so it would be cool to get paid to knock him out. And I definitely think I would knock him out.
I don't disagree. To be honest, again, that's actually sort of a topic I suppose we can stumble upon, because, like I say, I'm sure Jared would vouch for me. I'm completely honest. I'm not going to sit here and say I followed that particularly closely, but why don't? So I would think there'll be quite a few people, a bit like me, who aren't fully in the know, maybe know about the little bit of the beef that went on. Maybe saw a few tweets go back and forth. I think didn't the guy, did he block you or protect his tweets at some point? I can't quite remember.
Tweets,
yeah. So where did that stem from?
Yeah. So here's why I don't like Derek. It's because of his behavior when he's given time and opportunity at these press conferences. And again, a lot of them are Jake Paul related because he works for Better Media. If you don't know what Better Media is, it's Jake Paul's crypto betting company, right? So they'll let Derek get on the mic, and he just makes a dumb scene, tells Nate Diaz, "Oh, I hope Jake Paul knocks you out," at the official press conference, and says some shit about, "Oh, can I fight Nick Diaz? I'll whoop your brother." And meanwhile, he's this scrawny.
I was about to say, so that's the guy then.
That's the guy.
Stupid little jumped up idiot.
Exactly. Yeah. It's some pathetic insect. I mean, you go through his TikTok and he's just yelling at the camera about bets and, "Oh, you guys can, pick against me, but you're stupid." And his whole character, his whole gimmick is being this insufferable brat. And I don't know how he got hired at Better. Again, I think it's a nepotism hire. He's somebody's cousin or little brother, and they were
Yeah.
like, well, Derek is just twiddling his thumbs, wasting his life away playing Fortnite. Can you give him a job? And here he is now shitting on people at press conferences. And then what's wild is he's, instead of being like ringside or down on the floor, he's up in the Better Media suite wearing a disguise on fight night. So I'm like, you're going to talk all this shit and then go hide in your little castle. And then again, you know, I'm like, you could make a shit ton of money fighting me on Misfits, getting some exposure. And instead you completely disregard me. Because like if you look through his tweets initially, especially right at the beginning when we were going back and forth, in his replies, I would be ratioing the fuck out of him when he'd go, oh, who should I fight next? Everybody's saying me. And he's not responding to a single name, you know, right? A single person that says me, thinks he's bigger than me and he can, oh, I can do a lot better than you. And yeah, then he goes and fights Steiny in a parking lot for no reason. So they're doing an episode with Jake Paul, Nelkin, and Fulson and whatnot, and he just rolls up and challenges Steiny. And Steiny, I've gained a lot of respect for Steiny recently. And he's sitting there and he's like, dude, I've had a couple of drinks, like I'm not doing this with you right now. And Derek's just like, well, you're ducking me, bro. You just fucking ducking me. And they go in the parking lot. And Steiny kind of pieces him up. And again, I mean, they're idiots. They're just winging punches around. There's no technique. So I'm like, I don't understand, Derek. You could be getting a lot of exposure. You could be getting some respect from people if you actually step in the ring. And I don't know, you're asking people, oh, who should I fight? There's one person that everyone's telling you to fight. Yeah. So how about you, you know, let's get it going. It'd be the easiest thing to organize. It'd be so easy to organize. But he doesn't want it.
I think that's the thing. You know, boxing is a prime example of fighters in particular saying, "Oh yeah, I want this fight." This, that, and the other, and then for whatever reason, it doesn't happen.
And not doing it, yeah.
Yeah, you know, and there's always someone else to blame. I mean, who knows what goes on? But I think the interesting thing again with Misfits boxing is, what I really like about it is really there isn't that bullshit to it. Like you can sit here and say, I'll have the fight, I want the fight. This is a piece of piss to make. We'll make some money. We'll, you know, expand our profiles. That, you know, the desire for the fight's there. And, you know, I've just got it from the horse's mouth. So, you know, Derek, if you see this video, my boy's ready to
just
roll.
Do it. Just do it. Like he's just sitting on his ass, wasting his time at making these TikToks. I'm like, let's just fucking do it, kid. Again, you're gonna make a ton of money. That's worth it, period. But there's so much else associated. So I don't know. I don't waste a lot of energy on it, but I do think it's funny how he'll go, oh, these people are ducking me, and I'm like, come on. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you can usually tell. I mean, obviously, I'll do a little bit digging into that and see if I can get any sort of anything from his end. But I would presume just a little older guy from the UK probably might not have much joy. But yeah, bro. Like I say, the man's definitely there. I don't have a huge following as such, but
that's fine. It doesn't matter. Who cares about like that's because it's about the work, brother. It's about doing it, my man. Phil.
Exactly.
It's about that because at one point in time I had 0 followers. At one point in time I was doing interviews and no one was watching them. You know, even if I put up an interview now, it's not like my YouTube is not that big. I don't know.
Yeah, welcome back. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if that was my end, your end, or just God's way of telling me to shut up. But yeah, no. Like I say again, just briefly getting back to the Derek thing. I think, like I said, proof's in the pudding. You're obviously quite happy to speak about it and fill people in on sort of the backstory and things like that. And again, speaking about following, I only do this for the love of it.
Exactly.
Really. It took me a while to get the confidence to even be able to do it myself anyway. You know, but I'm always a firm believer in you only learn really a little bit about these things by throwing yourself into it. So, but yeah, Pardon me, what was I going to say? So, are you ready to quick fire, my man?
Yes. Let's burn it.
Okay. So, first up, simple one. Favorite MMA fighter?
Billy Quarantillo. My
Love
guy.
it.
The squid.
Love it. Love Billy. Always have. Right, the guys. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass or his ass because you're on with me. Billy follows me on Twitter. I mean, what's not to like about that guy? But jokes aside, yeah, love Billy. Guy's just a warrior. Just again, I can't say. Obviously, don't know the man, but I don't think there's at the minute. He's definitely for me one of the top 5 guys that if he's on a card, I look at the fight straight away and it's going to be a fucking banger.
There's going to be at least one war. There's going to be at least one war on this card.
Exactly. It was like the card could be shit, but Billy's on it, so we're guaranteed at least one complete slugfest. Okay, so sticking with the quick fire. So weekend coming up, Makhachev Volkanovski.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Makhachev.
Yeah, fair.
I wish Volk had a longer camp and wasn't taking this on 10 days notice, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Islam.
Yeah, same, bro. Again, very similar reasons. 10-day camp. Again, I think the difficult thing is if you don't get a decision in Australia, if it goes the distance, if it's close, I don't know.
Oh yeah, in Abu Dhabi, it's going exactly. If they're going to the scorecards, it's going to be Islam all day. Yeah,
without pissing the judges off, whoever scores that fight, I can imagine that it's going to be the close rounds are going to get scored one way. Khamzat Usman.
I am gonna go with Usman. I'm gonna swing on Kamaru because, like, if you look at, I know this is rapid fire. I'm fucking destroying the rapid fire concept.
It's rapid fire, but we'll discuss a few bits.
Yeah, I was not blown away by Chimaev's performance against Gilbert Burns. I recognize that was a while ago, and it's not to discredit Gilbert Burns, but the strength of Chimaev, the takedowns, the athletic, it didn't seem like it was really there, and did he ragdoll Kevin Holland immediately after at UFC 279 or whatever it was? Yeah, he was able to get it done there, but I can't get that Gilbert Burns fight out of my head. And Kamaru Usman is talented. I don't think he's washed. I think if he looks bad in this fight, then I would go with, he's older. It's time to maybe consider something else. But I think we're turning back the clock, and the Nigerian Nightmare is going to get it done.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, I briefly, I think, tweeted Mac likes Usman for this. I think at the odds as well, about plus 250, 220, which is huge, to be fair. And me and Mac were just like, yeah, it's worth a sprinkle. And I think it is. I've got to admit, I hate to say it, my pick's Khamzat. And
fair enough.
I'm going to even go on the record as saying, when we get those holy shit moments that we love MMA for, I think we're going to get one in that fight. And I think we're going to see. I am totally on the same page as you with the Gilbert Burns fight. Arguably, I actually thought Burns won the fight. But I don't know, call it a hunch, I'm not sure. The not having a full camp comes into it. I just have this feeling with the build-up and all the changes to the card, it's been a bit of a crazy time. I've just got this that Khamzat's going to get it done.
Yeah,
I've just got this feeling. Obviously, he is a big favourite with the bookmakers and things, but that's not real. I don't really pay too much attention to that. I've just got a feeling. He's 29, there's age gap, coming off the losses to Edwards. I'm not saying anyone who backs Usman's wrong. I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I'd be pleased if Usman won, because with I'd like him to win. But yeah, just got a feeling it's going to be a holy shit moment, and we're going to see something special. But we'll find out if that's just some weird, strange unproven prophecy.
We'll see Saturday night. We'll see Saturday
night, bro. Okay. Favorite thing about England when you visited?
Architecture. Yeah, I love the sort of like civic planning. I love how you guys construct cities where there's just like a castle randomly every 10 feet. And it's fucking true. I mean, when I was walking around Newcastle, I'm like, there's another castle. But I love it. I love the history. You know, Europe and England has been around forever, and some of those buildings are older than the United States, right? So it's just a really cool place to just absorb, walk around and just take it in. It's so different, you know, and when I'm here in Arizona and Phoenix, like the way that I've built our city is boring as fuck. We've got like 1-story beige, squares. There's nothing eye catching, there's just nothing eye catching. I mean, even ASU. So like when I went to the honors college, and they built the honors college like a prison. The guy that constructed it built prisons. And I was like, why did we get him? why did we get the prison architect? Why didn't we get someone cool, man? But so I would say, like, genuinely, it's like I just loved how the city and the buildings looked in Newcastle.
Yeah, no, Newcastle is it's a great place, to be honest. Is that have you visited England other than Newcastle?
I've been to London before. I liked London. I mean, it was very, very New York-ish. It's a British New York. You know what I mean? You would probably say New York is a American London. But I did like it felt like a big metropolitan city. Same thing. I mean, a lot of castles, a lot of cool history, but there was definitely a lot of that modernization, I feel, in London.
Yeah, I think London probably, again, like you say, a bit like New York. London is a little bit more of a fast pace, and a bit like why I sort of asked, because I think with Newcastle, I love the fact that the card was there. In fact, I'm hopefully going to be at Cage Warriors November 24th, I think, in Newcastle. But it's a really great part of the world, and the people there are just super friendly. Like I say, great city, great togetherness. And usually, I've been to a few shows in Newcastle before. They usually they've got a good crowd. Not always the most maybe knowledgeable as such, but which they'll probably maim me for saying. One of my best mates definitely will. But they know how to party as well. Do you know what I mean? So for something like an MMA card, Misfits card, boxing card, anything like that, the atmosphere is always good. So. But mainly, again, the people are wicked, and again, not just saying that because mate of mine's is from that part of the world. But yeah, last one, mate. Got to ask as well. It seems mundane to ask, but obviously you've travelled a lot, all over. Obviously, we talked about London and things there. Where would you say your favourite place you've been, work or personal?
I mean, I would probably say my bed. That's my favorite place.
Love it.
I know, but serious note, it's been really fun to travel a lot for work, and the amount of cool places I've been to. Like Phuket was great.
Been to Phuket.
But I did like a European, when I graduated high school, my family and I did like 3 weeks in Europe, just traveling around. Like that's when we did London, we did Dublin, Galway, did the Cliffs of Moher up there. Went over to Paris, Vatican City and whatnot. So well traveled. But I would say I just liked Dublin a ton. I just liked Ireland. It was a cool vibe. I like the pace of everything. Everyone's really relaxed and friendly, and I love accents. I mean, that's the hottest thing to me, and that Irish accent gets me.
Oh yeah, no, like I say, we were there this weekend. My friend Tom, who came with me, first time in Dublin, and what have you, and he was just taken back. And again, one of the first things he said, I just want to hear the girls talk with an Irish accent. And I was like, really? That's what you've come for? Fuck the Cage Warriors card. You just come for the girls. And he's like, no, man. But I just it's hot. I was like, yeah, totally, I get that. And then, winding it down a bit, and again, before I go, just want to get a little bit back on more the topic of combat sports. Obviously, you've done a number of shows, like you say, on sort of, should we say, the regional circuit with things like Faber's, Anthony Pettis, is it Combat A1? A1 Combat?
Uriah Faber's A1 Combat, yeah.
That's the one, isn't it? Yeah. So is there anybody, and again, this was asked a couple of times today in my DMs, obviously over here we've got sort of Cage Warriors cards, which again, casual fans won't necessarily know some of the fighters on there. So obviously you've got quite an extensive knowledge and background of some of the guys coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a couple of names you could give us, or as many names as you want really? Is there a couple of fighters who you could throw out there and say, I think these guys potentially, we might see these on, Dana White Contender Series or another route into the UFC or straight into the UFC, for instance? Is there anyone who springs to mind?
Yeah, I'll do a European one. Jur Harris, the GTA selector. I know he just fought, I think, in the Cage Warriors Academy, or maybe it was a Cage Warriors card. I called
it was a Cage Warriors card on Saturday.
Yeah, he was at APFC, I think Indiana. I got to call his fight, and he's just a really talented kid. There's no other way to cut it. He's good everywhere, and just constantly improving. And he's got a personality, which every Irish fucking fighter does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Jur's got some serious potential in a couple years. Maybe after he snatches up a belt, inevitably, we'll see him on the Contender Series, or maybe a straight signing. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. It's funny that you bring Jer up, actually, because I wrote an article on Friday, I think it was, or Saturday morning. In fact, I think it was Saturday morning. I was on my way to the airport. I do just like a weekend sort of prediction picks. Obviously, people like to have a gamble. They can follow the advice if they want to, but really, it's more about the fun of breaking down a fight and looking at things. And I mean, I did go 3 for 3. Not that I'm bragging. But yeah, Jay Harris was one that stood out to me straight away. Again, something always an interesting read, I think, for casual fans is when they see somebody favoured at the bookmakers. They'll instantly think, they're going to win the fight, especially in MMA. I'll even have friends who go, well, this guy was like a really heavy favorite. I was like, yeah, MMA doesn't always work like that. And surprisingly, the odds on Jer, and I'm going to be terrible and forget, I think it was Nicky Hewitt. I can't remember who he fought now. But basically, it was very, very close. I think Jer was a slight favourite. And I was like, I don't get this. I was like, this is like a slam dunk. I was like,
yeah.
Do you know when you just have those moments and you're like going, what have they seen here?
Did they make a mistake? Yeah. Did they think it's someone else? Yeah.
I mean, no offense, anyone who gets in the cage, full respect, but the fact that I can't remember the guy's name who we fought probably says a little bit about something, which is my bad. But Jer, for me, is a real prospect, and I think, like you say, I wouldn't be surprised that he hopefully has a little bit of a run with the Cage Warriors. I'd like to see him more again over here. I know Cage Warriors are going to go over to Scotland next year as well, which would be great. But yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, I expect quite big things from that boy, so we'll see. Anybody from your side of the pond to keep an eye on?
Yeah, I got to give some special love to my man, Bruno Souza. So he fought in karate combat several times.
Okay.
He's victorious in his MMA return. Uriah Faber's A1 Combat 13, I think. I was able to call it. He beat Teruto Ishihara, who fought, Piotr Jan and a couple other guys in the UFC. And, Souza looked good. He's back in MMA, and he's a former LFA featherweight champion. So he was in the UFC for a couple times. Or a couple fights rather. So I think Bruno's got some serious steam moving back in. I will say that was the fight where, like Bruno is a good bud, and calling his fight was very interesting. I have a lot of interactions with the athletes and whatnot on fight week and have a lot of love for everybody, so it's interesting calling them. But Bruno's one guy where I'm like, we've hung out, we've partied together. And now, cage side. And same thing with Teruto. Teruto's fight before that was at XMMA when he fought Vince Morales. I was working that show as well. So it was very interesting calling that specific matchup because I was like, I like both of these guys.
Yeah.
I want them both to win. But you gotta ride that fence. You gotta have neutrality in the booth.
But that's the thing, and I can't imagine that. You see, obviously for some of us, obviously, even with if two of our favourite fighters fight, two people particularly close to in regards to some a lot of them are fighters and athletes as a whole, are inspirational characters to some, and I think calling a fight with one guy or two guys even more so, where you've actually hung out, you've got a relationship, and obviously you've got to sit on that fence, you've got to be neutral and call it down the line. But yeah, that again, definitely an name to keep an eye out for. In fact, it'll be something that I do probably, even though it's 11:15 at night here, I'll probably have a little bit of a look into that before I go to bed, because it's I'm intrigued.
I will say the fight wasn't a barn burner. So's is a karate. He's got a karate background with Lyoto Machida. Taruto is a guy who's always looking for one big punch. So they kind of had a bit of a stalemate, admittedly. But yeah.
Yeah, but it can be like that, especially if you get two guys who are from those same sort of backgrounds where they're going to be looking for reads, they're going to be looking at feints, and especially sort of first round, sometimes you can get like you say, a little bit of a stalemate, a standoff. Who's going to go first? Who's going to make the mistake?
Styles make fights, and
completely,
that,
completely, man. And it's like something I said about karate combat today, actually, is I think what I love about that, the karate combat, not to take away from the MMA, but I always feel in all combat sports, you take your eye off the ball, you can potentially get your lights turned out. But I think with the matchups in karate combat, because they are so heavily focused on striking, more so, you really do have to be like, if you switch off even for a millisecond, you can go down. Yeah, you can go down pretty hard. So
especially because they moved from 6-ounce gloves to 4-ounce gloves, which I'm very intrigued by. I'm like, that's going to make things. Like Ross Levine, who's the current middleweight champion, he was flatlining dudes with the 6-ounce gloves. Imagine what Ross is going to do with fucking 4-ounce gloves, man. Like, oh my gosh. But I completely agree.
Yeah. Ross might end up with a body on his record and moving down to 4-ounce gloves. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. God, man, that's that's wild. I didn't actually know that. So yeah, that's wild, brother. That's wild. But to be honest, bro, that literally, from the notes I've made and just the questions I've had, I could talk to you forever. But that's all I've really got for you today.
Hell yeah.
Other than it's been an experience. And it's like, I think it's just been it's been great, man, because it's like, obviously we don't know each other particularly well. We just spoken a bit on social media. But what's been refreshing is, I think when you interview just someone who's a fighter, I love interviewing fighters, don't get me wrong, but you sort of tend to stay on one topic or a couple of topics, and I think in the last sort of hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half, we've covered a lot of different bases, and
I would agree with that. Yeah,
I think that's what makes it a little bit different, which is what I like. So we'll talk a little bit more after I stop recording, but for the record, mate, I just want to say it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, for agreeing to come on. Obviously, I'm sort of representing MMA UK through media now, and what have you. So this interview will go out probably between now and the weekend. But I'm just honestly, mate, I'm just grateful, full of gratitude, and it's been nice to connect, mate. Really, really appreciate it.
Likewise, brother. Thank you for having me on. It means a lot.
Thanks, Ben.